The strongest resentment is not always born from your actions. Sometimes it grows from what your presence quietly reflects back to others. People think hate is loud. They imagine angry words, arguments, open enemies. But in real life, resentment often wears a smile. It hides inside polite conversations. It hides behind compliments. It hides inside silence. That is why it is so difficult to notice. The greatest mistake most people make is believing that if someone has a problem with them, that person will simply say it. Many never do. Instead, they slowly change. Their energy changes. Their support fades. Their distance grows. Nothing dramatic happens. Yet everything feels different. When that happens, most people ask themselves one question: what did I do wrong? Sometimes that question has an answer, sometimes it does not. Machiavelli believed that people are deeply influenced by power, pride, and the desire to protect their own position. Whether you fully agree with him or not, his ideas point towards something worth thinking about. People do not always react only to your actions. Sometimes they react to what your presence means to them. That does not mean everyone secretly hates you. It does not mean every cold look hides jealousy. Human behavior is more complex than that. But it does mean that our success, confidence, or independence can make other people uncomfortable in ways they may not even recognize themselves. And that is where today's journey begins. By the end of this video, you may not become more suspicious of people. Instead, you may become more aware of the hidden forces that shape relationships. Because once you understand those forces, you stop chasing every person's approval. You start protecting your own peace. The first truth is uncomfortable. Most hidden resentment does not begin with conflict. It begins with comparison. Think about two people standing side by side. At first, they are equals. They share ideas. They laugh together. They support each other. Then something changes. One person earns a promotion, builds a business, becomes more confident, starts speaking with certainty. The friendship may still look the same on the outside, but inside something has shifted. Not because success is wrong, because comparison is powerful. People naturally compare themselves with those around them. Sometimes that comparison inspires growth. Other times it creates quiet frustration. The frustration may never become open anger. Instead, it becomes distance, small criticism, less excitement for your achievements, less support than before. This does not happen in every relationship. Many people genuinely celebrate the success of others, but some struggle with comparison, especially when they already feel uncertain about themselves. Your growth becomes a reminder of where they believe they are falling behind. That reminder can be painful, and pain often changes behavior before it changes words. Imagine a co-worker who always enjoyed talking with you. Every morning begins with easy conversation. You help each other. You laugh. Then one day you receive a promotion. Nothing else changes. You still greet them the same way. You still offer help. Yet over the next few weeks, something feels different. The conversations become shorter. The smiles become smaller. The warmth slowly disappears. Did they suddenly become a bad person? Not necessarily. Perhaps they are disappointed. Perhaps they wanted the same opportunity. Perhaps your success quietly reminded them of their own frustration. You cannot know their thoughts, but you can notice the pattern without rushing to conclusions. This is an important difference. Observation creates wisdom. Assumption creates unnecessary conflict. Many people lose relationships because they confuse possibilities with certainty. A calm observer notices change. An insecure mind invents stories. Machiavelli often encouraged leaders to observe what people do, not simply what they say. That lesson still matters today. Words are easy, patterns are harder to fake. If this way of looking at human behavior helps you see people with greater clarity, Ilu Codex explores these quiet patterns every week, not to make you fearful, but to help you become more aware, because awareness is often quieter than confidence, yet it is far more powerful. Now the pressure becomes even greater. Comparison is only the beginning. There is another reason relationships quietly change. It has nothing to do with your achievements. It has everything to do with identity. People like stability. They build a picture of who everyone is. The funny one, the quiet one, the struggling one, the successful one, the person who always needs help. These labels make the world feel predictable, but people change. That is where tension begins. When you grow beyond the role others expected, some people celebrate, others feel uncomfortable. Not because growth is bad, because it breaks the story they had already written about you. Imagine someone who always knew you as shy. Then, over time, you become confident. You speak clearly. You stop apologizing for every opinion. You begin saying no without guilt. To you, this feels like healthy growth. To someone else, it may feel like you'll become a different person. The change challenges their expectations. Some will adapt. Others may quietly resist. Again, this does not automatically mean resentment. People react to change in many different ways. The important lesson is not to assume hidden motives. The lesson is to recognize that growth can reshape relationships. Sometimes the relationship grows with you, sometimes it stays behind. That realization is difficult because we want every important connection to remain exactly as it was. Life rarely allows that. Growth creates movement. Movement changes distance. Distance changes feelings, and feelings change behavior. The greatest mistake is trying to force everything back to the way it used to be. Many people spend years chasing an older version of a relationship that no longer exists. Instead of accepting change, they fight it. They explain themselves again and again. They seek constant approval. They work harder to be liked. Yet the harder they chase acceptance, the more control they hand to someone else's opinion. Real strength begins somewhere else. It begins when you accept that not every relationship is meant to stay the same forever. Some people will grow with you, some will grow away from you. Neither outcome defines your worth. It simply reveals where each person's journey is leading. And this brings us to a deeper question. If hidden resentment rarely begins with open conflict, then how does it reveal itself before anyone says a single word? That answer is often found in the smallest behaviors, and those quiet signals are easier to miss than most people realize. By now you may be thinking, if people rarely show their true feelings, how can I ever know what is real? The answer is simple. Do not chase one moment. Watch for patterns. One strange look means nothing. One forgotten message means nothing. One bad day means nothing. But when the same small changes happen again and again, they begin to tell a story. People rarely hide emotions perfectly. Their words stay the same. Their behavior slowly changes. That is where the truth often begins to appear. Imagine a coworker. Every morning they greet you with energy. They ask about your weekend. They joke with you during lunch. Then something changes. Maybe you receive praise from your manager. Maybe you finish an important project. Maybe people begin asking for your opinion more often. Nothing dramatic happens, but the energy shifts. The greetings become shorter. The conversations become fewer. They still smile. They still act polite. Yet something feels different. It would be easy to tell yourself, I'm probably imagining it. And sometimes you are. That is why wise people do not jump to conclusions. Instead, they become curious. They observe without rushing to judge. This is where many people make a costly mistake. They notice distance. Then they panic. They send more messages. They explain themselves. They try harder to be liked. They become louder. They become more available. They believe more effort will repair what feels broken. But sometimes that effort creates the opposite result. When someone is already comparing themselves to you, your constant need for reassurance can make the tension even stronger. Not because you did something wrong, but because every interaction reminds them of the comparison already happening inside their mind. Machiavelli often described human beings as deeply concerned with status and perception. Whether or not you agree with every one of his ideas, history shows something interesting. People rarely compare themselves with strangers. They compare themselves with people close to them. Friends, co-workers, classmates, Family. The people who live beside us become the easiest mirrors. And mirrors can be uncomfortable. Think about the last time someone achieved something before you. Maybe they bought a house, started a business, lost weight, graduated, found happiness. Did you celebrate them? Or did a small voice inside whisper, "Why not me?" Most people have heard that voice at least once. The difference is what they do next. Some people use it as motivation. Others quietly allow it to grow into resentment. That resentment rarely announces itself. It leaks out through small actions. Less support, less excitement, less warmth. Not because they planned it, because emotions often speak before words do. This is why calm observation matters more than quick judgment. You are not trying to catch people. You are trying to understand people, because understanding gives you choices. Assumptions take those choices away. So the next time someone's behavior changes, ask yourself 3 questions. What changed? Has this pattern repeated? Could there be another explanation besides me? Those questions protect you from becoming paranoid. They also protect you from becoming blind. Real awareness lies between those 2 extremes. If this way of looking at people helps you notice the world more clearly, Ilu Codex explores these hidden patterns every week. Because power does not begin with controlling others, it begins with understanding them. But there is one mistake that quietly destroys this understanding, and almost everyone makes it. They believe approval can fix hidden resentment. That belief creates more problems than most people ever realize. When someone pulls away from us, our first instinct is usually simple: win them back, explain ourselves, be nicer, work harder, smile more, prove our value. At first, that sounds wise. In reality, it often gives away something far more important: your emotional balance. Imagine someone becomes colder toward you. Instead of accepting the distance, you begin chasing answers. You replay old conversations. You wonder what you said. You send another message, then another. You start changing your own behavior just to bring things back to normal. Without noticing it, one person's opinion now controls your peace of mind. That is a dangerous trade, because approval is something you can never fully control. You can be honest, kind, respectful, hard-working, and still be misunderstood. You can solve one problem only to create another. That is part of being human. Machiavelli understood that trying to satisfy everyone often leaves you satisfying no one. The more desperate people become for acceptance, the easier they are to influence. Think about it. If someone knows you cannot stand being disliked, they do not need to argue with you. They only need to withdraw their approval. The silence becomes the pressure. Your own mind does the rest. That is why emotional independence is such quiet strength. It does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean ignoring people. It simply means your decisions are no longer controlled by every changing opinion around you. Consider another situation. Someone congratulates you on an achievement. Their words sound kind. Later, you learn they pointed out your mistakes to someone else. Your first reaction might be anger, but pause for a moment. Does knowing this improve your life, or does your response determine what happens next? This is where real control begins, not by pretending hurt does not exist, but by refusing to let it decide your next move. Behavior, hidden reason, strategic response. That pattern appears again and again. Behavior. Someone becomes distant. Possible hidden reason. They may be comparing themselves to you, or dealing with stress, or struggling with something that has nothing to do with you. Strategic response. Stay calm. Observe. Do not chase. Do not assume. Let time reveal what emotions hide. Many relationships recover naturally when you stop forcing them. Others quietly fade away. Both outcomes teach you something. Not everyone who leaves your life was meant to stay. Not everyone who grows distant is your enemy. And not everyone who praises you is your ally. The goal is not to become suspicious of everyone. The goal is to become steady within yourself. Because when your peace depends on constant approval, every opinion becomes a weapon. But when your peace comes from clear judgment and quiet confidence, those same opinions lose much of their power. Before we finish, I want to ask you something. Think about one relationship that suddenly changed. Did you immediately blame yourself? Or did you take time to observe what else might have been happening beneath the surface? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone else see their own situation with calmer eyes. Now there is one final lesson. It is the lesson that separates people who spend their lives reacting from those who quietly stay in control. And it may be the most valuable idea Machiavelli leaves us with. At this point, you may be asking one question. If I cannot control how people feel about me, then what can I control? That is the question that changes everything. Many people spend years trying to win every person over. They explain themselves. They defend every decision. They chase approval from people who already decided how they want to see them. Machiavelli would likely say this is wasted energy, not because people never change, but because you cannot build your life around changing every mind you meet. Real strength begins when you stop treating every cold reaction like a problem that needs your attention. Think about someone who stays calm under pressure. People may criticize them, some may admire them, others may misunderstand them, yet they keep moving. Why? Because their direction does not depend on every opinion around them. That does not make them cold, it makes them steady. This is where many people make one final mistake. They hear ideas like these and decide to trust no one. They become distant, suspicious, always waiting for betrayal. But that is not wisdom. That is fear wearing the mask of intelligence. A careful observer does not assume everyone is against them. They simply understand that every person sees the world through their own experiences, fears, hopes, and insecurities. Some people will support you. Some will compete with you. Some will misunderstand you without ever trying to know you. That is part of being human. Your job is not to control every story people tell about you. Your job is to make sure you do not lose yourself trying to rewrite those stories. The more emotionally independent you become, the less power hidden resentment has over you. Because resentment only controls those who need acceptance to feel secure. Imagine two people receiving the same criticism. The first person spends days thinking about it. They replay every conversation. They wonder what they should have said. They lose sleep trying to fix an opinion they may never change. The second person listens carefully. If the criticism is useful, they learn from it. If it comes from comparison, anger, or misunderstanding, they let it pass. The difference is not confidence. The difference is clarity. One person reacts to every emotion around them. The other chooses which emotions deserve a response. That is a quiet form of power. If understanding hidden human behavior helps you see the world with more clarity, then Codex is built for people who value observation over reaction. Every video is another chance to understand the games people play without becoming trapped inside them. Now think back over your own life. Was there ever a moment when someone's attitude toward you changed without warning, not because they said it, but because you felt it? Maybe they became quieter. Maybe they stopped celebrating your wins. Maybe the distance grew one small step at a time. What did that experience teach you? Share your thoughts in the comments. Sometimes another person's story helps everyone see human nature a little more clearly. In the end, this is not a lesson about making people like you. It is not even a lesson about avoiding people who dislike you. It is a lesson about seeing social life without illusion. Some people will respect your growth. Some will question it. Some will quietly compare themselves to it, and some will simply move in a different direction. None of those reactions define your value. They only reveal different ways people respond to change. The moment you stop measuring yourself through other people's hidden opinions, something unexpected happens. You become harder to manipulate, harder to distract, harder to control, because approval is no longer the thing guiding your choices. Awareness is. Perhaps that is the coldest lesson inspired by Machiavelli. Power is not forcing people to admire you. Power is remaining steady whether they admire you or not, so the next time you sense distance, silence, or quiet judgment, resist the urge to assume you know exactly why. Observe first, reflect honestly, respond with calm instead of fear. That habit alone will protect your peace far more than chasing certainty about what others secretly think. The strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. It is often the one who understands that not every hidden feeling deserves a hidden battle, and once you stop living for every opinion, you discover something far more valuable. No one silent resentment can take away the peace you chose to build within yourself.